Hi, Eleven Guardians. Unseen Inquisitor here. So, it's happening. Season 21 is when it's happening. We were hoping it would be delayed, but they're definitely on it. I am talking about exotic armor tuning, specifically Starfire Protocol. A bunch of armor is getting tuned for Season 21, though, and that's pretty cool. A lot of it's actually pretty decent. But Starfire Protocol is taking center stage for its tuning that's going to happen. It's overcorrecting, I think, on Bungie's part. So this is yet another, I know, Starfire Protocol video out there. But I just want to hang out and just discuss casually my thoughts on Starfire Protocol's changes. Briefly highlight Starfire Protocol's power and why I think the change might be happening, and why I feel it's an overcorrection, as a lot of people do. So if you happen to stumble across this, welcome. Pull up a chair, hang out, and share your thoughts in the comment section down below. So, Starfire Protocol. What it does, in case you still don't know, is it's an exotic chest armor piece, all the way back from Destiny 1 days, in which it just gave you a second fusion grenade charge. Well, in Destiny 2, it gives you a second fusion grenade charge, empower weapon damage, recharges your grenade energy at 20% per tick, with a 0.3 second roughly cooldown in between when ticks can happen for grenade energy, so it's still very fast, but not instantaneous as you might think. And fusion grenade kills grant rift energy. One kill will give you your rift energy back 100%. So that's what it does. You can see it's got great synergy with itself in terms of the abilities that it does, and its ability to run empowering rift and fusion grenades with. And this build has basically been this way for years. Starfire Protocol predates Solo 3.0. These things only improved its potential, right? It was used in Vault of Glass, and I think still is, for Atheon fights, for Times Vengeance fusion grenade spam, and that'll still, I think, be a thing. But in any case, that's because of the raid mechanic. So this is a build that, up until Season 21 anyway, lets you throw a ridiculous amount of grenades. And that's pretty cool. But the real power comes in, or one of the real things about this power comes into its synergy with Demolitionist anything, but in particular Demolitionist rocket launchers. Between fusion grenades that explode twice, Demolitionist rocket launchers launching good explosive and high damage rockets, and being able to dump all that very quickly in a damage phase leads to a real dominance of damage numbers in any boss fight. Are there other builds that don't use glitches to exploit that can be in a similar realm of damage potential in a boss phase, a boss damage fight phase, or a boss damage phase for the fight? There we go. Yeah, there are builds and weapon combos out there that can, but none with the sheer reliability that Starfire Protocol has. And that's its real strength, is that it happens when you want it. Not because you trigger something or you set up some weird combo, but because you decided to pop your Empowering Rift, or use your Well Radiant Super, the two ways you get empower weapons, and you decided it's time to throw a baker's dozen worth of grenades. So yeah, very powerful because you decide at will. So it seems like this is beyond the original intention of Starfire Protocol. And I can believe the original intention of Starfire Protocol is to keep your grenades at the ready, because we didn't have well, right? Empowering Rift was the only way to do it, and you kind of would do that in situational things where you weren't able to stand and take it like you can in a well. So perhaps Starfire Protocol was meant to make sure you could have, your toolbox of abilities always up and ready. Your Rift used to gain the grenades back, and using a grenade to get your Rift back, and then getting your grenade fully back and being ready for the next encounter. And maybe a little bit extra depending upon how courageous you are in standing your ground in an empowered Rift for boss damage or whatever else. And clearly a well negates the danger of it, and Solo 3.0 ups the damage of it. But I really feel there's an overcorrection here. So, firstly, let's go over the changes real quick. Empowered weapon kills will now grant 20% grenade energy. That's never happened before. This is because they're reducing the amount of energy gained per instance of damage from that 20% all the way down to 2.5. Before seeing this, if you said they were going to reduce the effectiveness of the damage by half, people would be like, wow, that's pretty steep, but okay, I guess. You know, that's a pretty steep move, but I guess they'll do it. So 2.5 is way below that, because half of 20 is 10. So we're going from 20% to 2.5%. That's a ridiculous drop. It's borderline almost negligible, depending upon how you how long you're able to actually sit in a rift or do whatever and just shoot the enemy to get the damage ticks to happen. Now, they were saying they didn't want to completely rob the exotic of its benefits. They kind of did, at least the benefits as they've been for years, perhaps misintended, but anyways. And they're also saying that this build used to suck all the air out of the room. What I think they mean by that is that if you were a warlock looking for a group, using LFG to find a group to do endgame content with, unless they're doing a particular triumph, the only way they wanted a warlock was a well warlock with Starfire Protocol. That was it. So that is where I think the air was being sucked out of the room, because it's kind of like, oh, you're a warlock? Are you a well warlock with Starfire? No, well, then we don't really want to deal with you. We'd rather have that. So I kind of get that notion. But look, particularly if you're looking for a group and you're a seasoned player and you're looking for a group of seasoned players to go through content to go through, because you don't have people to go through it, you know what the meta is and people are running what's best. So I get it, and I kind of don't get it at the same time, you know, their intention with this concept. But anyways, moving on. Basically, it seems like, much like free movement tech has been tweaked for next season, it seems like single target damage specificity is got a cap on it. And Starfire Protocol definitely exceeds that cap for them. Here's my big question with empowered weapon kills. Is there still going to be some type of internal timer between getting that grenade energy? Does it happen on the damage just to avoid laser beam situations, or is it just a byproduct of the game being able to keep up? I say this because if I get a empowered weapon kill on 3 enemies virtually instantaneously because of a grenade launcher, let's say, is it going to count 3 times so I get 60% grenade energy from those 3 kills, or is it only going to count once because it all happened simultaneously and that's 1 tick and then there's a cooldown before it'll look again? That's a big deciding factor on how much this exotic is left behind by players. Coupled with that, Dragonfly, Firefly, Siva Nanites from Outbreak Perfected, Chain Reaction, Jolt, Incandescent, Volatile, those things can kill enemies from a weapon. Does it count as weapon kills, and will it count for the grenade energy? These are important questions that we really don't know yet, and we'll have to see when it comes out. I do plan to test this out in Season 21. I think there's still potential here for it to be more like perhaps what they want, which is just have you stocked up on grenades but not throwing a million. But to go from a baker's dozen, more or less, which is kind of an exaggeration, but not really, all the way down to what they have said, and I quote, you still probably get an extra grenade or 2 per damage phase, is a huge gap, right? It's not even a definitive, it's a probably. That's no good. Again, I'm saying this based on the way Starfire has worked for a long, long time. And I think instead of throwing 10 grenades total, let's say, they have it go down to half that. That would be fine. But to bring it down to the fact that maybe you'll get 1 extra grenade, and if you're lucky 2, is almost inconsequential, because this is not an exotic really meant for neutral play if they are literally pushing it towards, as they have said in their dev commentary. Fusion grenades can kill groups of enemies, sure, but that's not its intended role, really. It's not its best role. It can do it, but it's not its best role. Just like Fireball's best role is not boss damage, but it can hit a boss. There are other better grenades for the neutral play, and there are really stout builds for the neutral play that Starfire is being pushed into the same room with. And not as good as it can do it now, because it can do the neutral play now just fine, because it's damage giving us 20%, in season 20, and before that. That neutral play that kind of pushing us towards the empower weapon kills already happens, and the fact that it's now really going to be reliant on empower weapon kills is actually going to reduce its effectiveness in neutral play a little bit in comparison to where it's at now. But Dawn Chorus can do good things for neutral play, and the original Sunbreakers, that's what they're called in Destiny 1, the Sunbracers exotic gauntlets, that are also another Red War exotic, are a fantastic build that, by the way, everybody, has been around for a long time. This isn't a brand new build. The lava blobs have propelled it into prominence for a lot of people, but it's been a stout, great build, especially for ad clear neutral play, for a while now. And those are two great builds to do that Starfire Protocol is now being forced into the same room with to compete for neutral play attention, which honestly, personally, based on the way it's been for a while, hasn't seemed to be Starfire Protocol's whole shtick. So, in any case, with that said, I'm not the designer of the exotic, so I don't know, maybe that was the intention the entire time, and it was hardly askew because we didn't have Well or Solar 3.0 when this exotic came out. Anyways, if I'm going to run a solar neutral play specific build, I'm probably running Sunbracers. I've run Sunbracers way before Solar 3.0. It really took off once we got our Celestial Fire melee, whatever it was called when we first got it. I don't know if it's still called that. But when we got that melee, it was a lot more consistent and easier to proc Sunbracers, and it just was a fantastic build, and it has been and continues to be. So what can they do for Starfire Protocol post Season 21? Well, I don't know if they're going to do it in Season 22 or Season 23 or whenever, but I do think it's going to go under the knife. I think they're going to up the 2.5%, which is near negligible, just about, to 5%, so we feel something, right? So that extra 2 grenades, let's say, is now can potentially be more of a guarantee than a maybe. That would go a long way, to be honest, right? It really would. Because you got to remember, why is it such a big deal? Grenades are tied to Demolitionist. You get the idea. It's a real big damage drop because of that. But in addition to doing that, I think the Empower Weapon kills, should have been just kills in Empowering Rift. That way it includes your grenade and your melee and whatever else you do to kill enemies while in an Empowering Rift, because I think that opens up the play. Because one of the problems with it being specifically Empower Weapons is that it makes you not want to use your abilities while in the Rift, because they don't count for it. You use the grenade to get your Rift back, but then past that you just want to shoot things. And it's always felt a little weird, even now with that, in the neutral play of that way, because if you have your melee, why not send it out against the enemy if it's near you? That should count for something too. In any case, just some food for thought. What are your thoughts? Share them in the comment section. Be part of the conversation. Thanks so much for tuning in and stopping by to get another one of those Starfire Protocol videos out there. But 20% to 2.5 is perhaps the biggest swing they've ever taken to knock something into the ground. And for a lot of people, this is going to get hung up in the vault, I think. Which is a shame, because this is probably, going with the meme on the internet, right? This will be when we get the ornament to make it look cool, potentially. So we're going to get an ornament, maybe. And I think Bungie should just double down and do this hit and give us the ornament like we think is going to happen, just to really play into that meme. I'd be curious to see what it would be anyways. So with all that said, if you made it this far, congratulations. I appreciate it very much so. Consider subscribing to be part of future conversations more easily. That helps you out and helps me out. And until next time, Guardians, stay frosty.